Periva Sharanam. Today we will be learning the third shloka. Before we go to the third shloka, we will recite the first and the second shlokas that we have learnt in our previous classes.
शिवशक्त्या युक्तो यदि भवति शक्तः प्रभवितुं न चेदेवं देवो न खलु कुशलस्पन्दितुमपि अतस्त्वामाराध्यां हरिहरविरिञ्चादिभिरपि प्रणन्तुं स्तोतुं वा कथमकृतपुण्यः प्रभवति तनीयां सम्पांसुं तव चरणपङ्केरुहभवम् विरिञ्चिः सञ्चिन्वन् विरचयति लोकानविकलम् वहत्येनं शौरिः कथमपि सहस्रेण शिरसां हरः संक्षुद्यैनं भजति भसितोद्धूलनविधिम्.
Last time we had tried to split the line of each shloka into half for the convenience of those who could not understand or recite it properly. But this shloka has become a challenge for that. If we split the shloka like the previous shloka for the sake of practice, then there becomes a problem of meaning that is there in the shloka. So we cannot split the lines into half in this shloka. We will try to split it wherever it is possible and where there is no problem with the meaning of it.
अविद्यानामन्तस्तिमिरमिहिरद्वीपनगरी 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 जडानां चैतन्यस्तबगमकरन्दश्रुतिज्जरी जडानां चैतन्यस्तबगमकरन्दश्रुतिज्जरी जडानां चैतन्यस्तबगमकरन्दश्रुतिज्जरी दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणिगुणनिका जन्मजलधौ दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणिगुणनिका जन्मजलधौ दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणिगुणनिका जन्मजलधौ निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति.
When we see the meaning of the shloka, we will better understand where we can take a pause in this shloka according to the meaning. So we need not worry about it now. Second thing, in the second line, you have a word called jari, shruti jari. So that ja has to be the second ja, ijja together like the pronunciation. So that has to be noted.
अविद्यानामन्तस्तिमिरमिहिरद्वीपनगरी जडानां चैतन्यस्तबकमकरन्दश्रुतिज्जरी दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणिगुणनिका जन्मजलधौ निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति अविद्यानामन्तस्तिमिरमिहिरद्वीपनगरी जडानां चैतन्यस्तबगमकरन्दश्रुतिज्जरी दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणिगुणनिका जन्मजलधौ निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति अविद्यानामन्तस्तिमिरमिहिरद्वीपनगरी जडानां चैतन्यस्तबकमकरन्दश्रुतिझरी दरिद्राणां चिन्तामणिगुणनिका जन्मजलधौ निमग्नानां दंष्ट्रा मुररिपुवराहस्य भवति.
Now we will see the meaning of the shloka. The first line is Avidyanam antastimira mihira dvipanagari. So how do we split this? Avidyanam antaha timira mihira dvipa nagari. Avidyanam. It means ignorant, or someone who is ignorant, who is filled with ignorance, or maybe someone who is spiritually not that much developed, is what avidyana means. In Sri Vidya Parampara, Vidya means Sri Vidya. In Shakta Parampara, it is said that Sri Vidya is the highest form of knowledge that anyone can get. And just by saying Vidya, it means Sri Vidya. That is the Vidya of Ambal. Learning about Ambal or the knowledge about Ambal is called Sri Vidya. So, if we can say that if someone does not have knowledge or he is ignorant, we can also mean that he does not have the knowledge of Ambal or he does not have the knowledge of Sri Vidya. So, that can also be considered. Or to a layman, we can say that he does not have the knowledge of worshipping Ambal. So he does not know how to worship her, or he is so ignorant that he does not go and worship her, or read her shlokas, or praise her, or do anything like that. So that type of ignorant man is what we are speaking here. The first shloka itself, Adi Shankaracharya says that you have to have done so much of good things and worthy things to even think about Ambal or to praise and salute her. So we can say those people who have not done such good deeds to even think about her. So that kind of an ignorant man, we can say. The next letters are Antaha Timira. Antaha means inside, and Timira is a darkness, a kind of inside darkness. So here we are referring to a darkness which is inside the person who is ignorant, who has no knowledge about Ambal. The darkness that resides within a person who does not have the knowledge of Ambal. Antaha Timira becomes Antastimira when we join together and we are saying it together as a whole sentence. It becomes Antastimira. Then the next word is Mihira Dvipa Nagari. Mihira is sun. Dvipa is an island, Dvipam or island. And Nagari means a city. An island city of the sun is what Mihira Dvipa Nagari denotes. In Puranic reference, Surya Bhagavan or the sun god is said to be rising from the east from a city. So the city where sun god rises in the morning or the rising city is generally referred to as the Dvipanagari. It is a Puranic reference. Generally it is said. But if we see actually the sun never rises nor sets. It's only the rotation and revolution of the earth which makes us think that sun is rising in the east and it is setting in the west. But from our perspective only, that is from where we are, we see that sun is rising in the east and it is setting down in the west and all those things. But Paramatma or the sun god is always bright and shining, always bright and doing his duty properly. It is only our perspective that changes. For the sake of the poetry and for us to imagine and to conceptualize what we see, it is given that sun is rising from a city and that place is like a island and such things are given. The place where sun god rises and it is a island city. This Mihira Dvipanagari means. Okay, now there is a big question. The first line, okay, we understand. But what is he referring to? It is actually the continuation of the second shloka. In the second shloka, we saw the importance and greatness of the dust particles, the very fine dust particles that are found under the lotus feet of Ambal. How it was very, very important to Brahma, how it was very important to Mahavishnu and to Parameshwara, etc., was given in the second shloka. And now in the third shloka, Acharya tries to explain what it can do to the human world, to all of us over here in this mortal world. What is the importance and greatness, and what it can do for us? For a person who is spiritually ignorant and whose heart is filled with ignorance or darkness due to ignorance, this particle of dust that comes out of the lotus feet of Ambal is like an island where the sun rises, or the Mihira Dvipanagari, the island city where the sun rises. Why does Acharya give a reference to the island city of the sun, of the rising sun? Why he didn't give it as only sun or Surya Karanas or something that which denotes that it is a bright light? It is because when you say the island city of the rising sun, it denotes only the brightness. If he just says the sun, it can be even the setting sun. So it has to be the bright light of the rising sun. Just like when it comes out of the darkness, when the day is going to break, you find that suddenly from the night time, from the darkness, there is sudden brightness. To refer to that kind of a scenario, Acharya very aptly refers it to a place from where it rises, only rises. So when we say this Dvipanagari, it is a place only that denotes about the rising of the sun. The darkness that has been created by ignorance is removed by the brightness. There is a pata bheda, or a difference in the way we see this, which is explained by Periyava in one of his discourses. Instead of saying it as Dvipanagari, if we say it as Deepanagari, there are few people who say it even as Deepanagari instead of Dvipa. Dvipa is island, but some people also say it as Deepanagari. So, how do we split that if we are using it as Deepanagari? Mihira Uddeepanakari. Mihira is sun, that we said already. So, Mihira is sun. Uddeepana means to kindle, to stimulate, to make it glow more, to make it more bright. For a person who is spiritually ignorant and whose heart is filled with darkness due to this ignorance, the fine dust particles that is found under the lotus feet of Ambal is like a stimulant which kindles the brightness within, or the knowledge within, jnana within, like a very bright sun. So, this is the meaning if we take it in this second version. Here, it is very important to note that this ignorance is not just for the people who are not very learned, or who don't have any knowledge, or who has not done any kind of sadhana or anything like that. This ignorance is there for everyone, even to the highest knowledgeable person, or to a person who has gone very spiritually high also. The ignorance is there. They are unable to know what their real self is. So, such kind of ignorance is there even in a very knowledgeable person. Even for that person, this dust of the Ambal's feet is like the remover of ignorance, even for such highly evolved people, is what Adi Shankaracharya is trying to say. The next line is Jadanam Chaitanya Stabaka Makaranta Shrutijhari. Jadanam. Jadanam is someone who is dull, who does not have that much of intelligence, unknowledgeable, who is unintelligent. For that kind of a person, the dust from the feet of Ambal, what it is doing? Chaitanya Stabhaka Makaranda Shrutijhari. Chaitanya Stabhakam. It means Chaitanya is consciousness. It is the universal consciousness or the intelligence. Chidanandam. which is Chit plus Anandam. That is the underlying core or the main matter of Chit, which is Chaitanyam. Learning about the intelligence of our universal soul or spirit. So that consciousness is called as Chaitanyam. So Chaitanya Stabhakam. Stabhakam is a bouquet, a bouquet of flowers we say. So here it is Chaitanya Stabhakam, a bouquet of consciousness, a bouquet of intelligence, of knowledge. In Lalita Sahasranamam also, we say Chaitanyarghya Samaradhya Chaitanya Kusumapriya, which means Chaitanyam is given as Argyam to Ambal and Chaitanya Kusumam. Kusumam is flower. So Chaitanya as flower is being used to do Archana to Ambal and she is pleased with that Archana. Here we are saying a bouquet. So it is a big flower bouquet of Chaitanya. There it was said as a flower. Here we are seeing it as a bouquet of flowers of Chaitanya or knowledge or wisdom. Stabaka Makaranta Shrutijari. From that Stabakam or from the bouquet of Chaitanya, Makaranta Shrutijari. So generally from the flower we get this pollen grains. Makarantam is the pollen grains. And with that pollen grains is what the honeybees make honey. So from Makarantam we get honey. The same way from the Chaitanya Stabakam, which is actually the bouquet of consciousness of Chaitanya, the bouquet of Chaitanya, Shrutijhari, Makarantam is coming out like a waterfall. We can also say it as a fountain. Periyava is referring to it as a fountain only. So we will keep it as fountain. This person who is a Jatam, he is like a barren land. He is very dry. He does not know anything. He is very unintelligent. He can be equated to a barren land. For this kind of a barren land, the dust of the lotus feet of Ambal is like a fountain of nectar which comes from the bouquet of flowers where the flower is Chaitanyam. That is consciousness, knowledge. This person, with the grace of Ambal, becomes fully conscious. He is blessed with the consciousness, knowledge of consciousness, which flows into him like a fountain. We have to imagine here there is a dry land. It is kind of lifeless because there is no water in it. Water is the no source or the lifeline of any place. If you have a dry land like that, which does not have any kind of life form, which cannot be sustained over there, it is so barren. And suddenly you have a fountain there, a waterfall, a fountain over there. How that place will become full of life, how it will become lush and green and so thriving. That is the kind of example here Adi Shankaracharya is giving us to understand how a person who is like a Jatam will become after he receives the blessings of Ambal. Now we will go to the third line. The third line is Daridranam Chintamani Gunanika Janma Jaladhau. In the last two lines that we saw in the first line for those who are spiritually unintelligent or a little bit less in intelligence. Second line is for those people who are dumb, who don't have any intelligence at all. Then here Shankaracharya talks about the third kind of people. Daridranam means a person who is poor, who does not have any money at all. For that kind of a person, what it does? Chintamani Gunanika Janma Jaladau. Chintamani is a kind of a gemstone which is found in Devaloka. It is a gemstone which is a wish yielding gemstone. So you wish for something, that gemstone can give it to you. So they say, Ambal is sitting in a place which is filled with Kalpaka Vriksha. We generally know Kalpaka Vriksha is also a tree which, if you go and ask to it, it will fulfill all your wishes. It will give you whatever you want. So Ambal is sitting in a place where there is a park. There is so many trees of Kalpaka Vriksha, and inside that place, she is sitting inside a Chintamani Griham, home that is made up of these gemstones of Chintamani, which provides everything. Chintamani by itself is a gemstone which provides something that you wish for. She is sitting inside a home, and the whole home is made up of Chintamani gemstone. So, such a Varaprasadi or Ambal is one God who gives you anything that you want. That is what is implied here. In Soundarya Lahari itself, a few shlokas later, Adi Shankaracharya gives a very detailed explanation of where Ambal is, how that place is designed, everything is given. Very detailed explanations are there in the Soundarya Lahari shloka. We will see that later. But for now, this Chintamani is a stone which gives us whatever we want. The person who is so poor, the Ambal's blessing or the dust which is found under her lotus feet is like a garland of Chintamani stones. It is like a necklace. So, if you have just one stone itself, you will get so many things, whatever you want or whatever you wish. But it becomes like a garland or a necklace of Chintamani stones. Worldly that is possible, everything he gets it. That is what is implied here. What is remaining? Janma Jaladhau. These two words are to be seen along with the next sentence. Nimagnanam damshtra muraripu varahasya bhavati. So you will take the words from the previous line. Janma Jaladhau Nimagnanam. Janma is birth and Jaladhau is ocean or a water body. Janma Jaladhau. So we have to go back to the same example that we gave from Lalita Sahasranamam. Samsara Pankha Nirmagna Samudharana Pandita. She is the one who lifts someone who is drowning in the lake of samsara. Samsara Pankha Nirmagna. Pankha Nirmagna. Nirmagna means drowning. So, Janma Jaladau Nimagnanam. Magna. One who is immersed in the ocean or in the lake of birth and deaths. That is what here it is meant. For a person who is immersed in the ocean of births and deaths, Ambal's lotus feet dust. It is like a damshtra muraripu varahasya bhavati. Damshtra is, it is like a tusk or large teeth that are protruding out of your jaw. Muraripu varahasya bhavati. Ripu is an enemy. Muraripu, it is a demon called Mura, and who is the enemy of Mura. That is Krishna Paramatma or Lord Vishnu, we have to say here. Varahasya bhavati. Varahasya is Varahamurti or the incarnation of Vishnu who came in the form of a boar. Here we are reminded about the Puranic story of Hiranyakshan who goes and steals Bhuma Devi and he hides her inside the ocean. So after all Devata's prayers, Narayana or Lord Vishnu takes the form of Varahamurti with his the damstras. He goes and he lifts the whole world and he brings it out. We can see it even in many of the temples, including Tirupati. This is the story behind Varahamurti. Like the damstras of Varahamurti, Varahasya damstra. Blessings of Ambal are like Varahasya damstra or the tusks of Varahamurti, which goes and lifts us just like it lifted the whole world under the ocean. It is lifting us, a person who is drowning inside the ocean of birth and deaths. It acts as the damstra of Varahamurti and lifts us from this ocean of births and deaths. Bhavati, finally, Bhavati is there. That is, this does it. So, mainly what it does, we can say all the three lines Bhavati, Bhavati, it does this for him. In the first line, it does for an intelligent person, it does this. For the second line, for an unintelligent person or a dumb person, it does this. In a third line, person who is having no wealth at all, it does this. And finally, a person who is drowning in the ocean of birth and death, it lifts him like the Varahamurti's tusks. The sloka that we learned today and the one that we learned previously, the second and the third shlokas, talk about the greatness of the dust, the very minute particles that are found under the lotus feet of Ambal. So we have to imagine if the dust that is found under the lotus feet of Ambal is capable of giving so many things to Brahma, Vishnu, Shivan, to all the divine people, not only to them, to human beings, like to an intelligent person who is ignorant, to an unintelligent person, or a dumb person, to an unwealthy person, or to a person who is drowning inside this ocean of birth. It can do so many things. Then we have to imagine the greatness of her Tiruvadi, her lotus feet itself. So let us try to immerse ourselves in the bhakti of Ambal and into the bhakti of her lotus feet itself, which will give everything to us. Periva Sharanam.